let's quickly also move on to another company that is in the news since Saturday, and that is Adani.
Right.
Let me also introduce on the show my colleague Avijit is joining all the way from Kolkata. Avijit, good morning to you. Adani continues to be in the news, and for all the wrong reasons.
Before we go,
yes,
Suyash, if you can take us through the Adani stocks this morning. From what I understand, all Adani Group stocks are down in the red this morning, Suyash, isn't it?
All 10 Adani Group stocks are in the red, and they have corrected by 3 to 5% in just today's session. Now, Adani Enterprises is leading the race as far as the losses are concerned. It's down about 5% on an intraday basis. Adani Ports is down about 3.11%.
There you go.
Adani Wilmar is another one. It's down about 2.3%. Now, all three companies reported a good set of numbers, but we are seeing some correction. Also, Adani Power logged some losses of about 3.35% in the morning trade. Adani Green was also down about 2.34%. Adani Wilmar, Ambuja Cements, ACC, all of them are in the red.
Sea of red wasn't Shweta, unexpected, because the kind of news flow that we've seen over the last couple of days, and what day it is today. Shweta, two things. One is what happened with Adani Port, Deloitte exiting Adani Ports, and second is the fact that SEBI report on Hindenburg's claims on manipulation in the Adani Group stocks, that today is the deadline for SEBI.
That report to be crucial report to be
filed in the Supreme Court,
which is going to do one of the two things: A, give a clean chit to Adani.
Right.
B, not give a clean chit to Adani, and in which case we're going to see further news coming out of Adani Group. But let's quickly understand what happened on Saturday.
Yes.
Let's get Avijit back. Avijit, Deloitte resigning as the auditor for Adani, saying that we wanted more transactions to be looked at closely, but Adani Group denied. They said that transactions need not be looked very closely, and in fact it wasn't needed, or there wasn't any further research needed for those specific stocks that found mention in the Hindenburg report. News is going to be a dampener for Adani.
Yeah, Shweta, good morning. I think this is perhaps the biggest blow this can deliver in the eyes of the market and the investors, the biggest blow since the Hindenburg report. Because what is at stake here is credibility. That is the first victim here. I think the way the markets are reacting is primarily because of the Deloitte exiting the company. What perhaps the group would have done, it's a huge group. It has got, I'm sure, the best legal brains and the best market advisory brains. But I think just to allay fears of the investors, they should have gone ahead and perhaps disclosed everything. Now, that's essentially from the investor point of view. Let's also remember that despite the sharp fall and the wipeout of the market capitalization of the group since the January 24 report, what has singularly helped the Adani Group is this huge bull run in the Indian markets. Just imagine what the situation would have been without this huge bull run for the last 3 months that we have seen. The stocks would have, I mean, it's anybody's guess where the prices would have been. So I think, irrespective of what the SEBI report says, Deloitte exiting the company, and Deloitte is not, a mom and pop sort of
absolutely
auditor group. So, it has got a lot of credibility hit, and what I think is the group is suffering right now is that credibility crisis. It should have tackled perhaps the thing better.
All right, the credibility crisis seemed to be hurting where it hurts the most for Adani, that is the group stocks. Avinash, all of them in the red. What is your assessment? What's happening here?
I think clearly, I think there's a credibility issue, because this Deloitte, disclosure on the exchanges has actually hurt the market sentiment very badly. February, when the Hindenburg issue happened, I think there was a free fall in these companies, and I think some amount of salvaging was done by the companies, by the Adani Group, by reducing the pledge, by reducing the debt on the books. But I think this kind of development is definitely something the institutional investors will be little wary. So my sense is that I think let the water settle down. The management has given their clarification, but the markets would take a little more time to digest this issue. I think overall the markets would be looking at the kind of growth trajectory and the earnings growth from all these companies. In case growth takes a backseat, then I think you're going to see a further sell-off here. But broadly, I would believe that at this point of time, it's not the right way or the right time to actually buy into these companies. I think it's better to keep away for some time, because this news would definitely have ramifying impact on almost all the companies. We are seeing almost every stock in the Adani group is down today, and this may continue for some more time before I think we get some further positive news flow from the group. But definitely a matter of concern. So I think I would keep away.
All right, Avinash, thanks very much for joining in with all those inputs. We'll, of course, keep coming back to you as and when we can, but thanks very much for taking time out this morning. Krishna, all in all, before we move further to what is expected today, Deloitte resigning, I think Avijit said something very interesting. He said it's not a mom and pop store, which is a comparison to not being a very small brick and mortar, small sort of business. It is one of the big 5 auditors in the world. So when Deloitte resigns, your credibility takes a hit, especially when it comes on the back of Hindenburg report. That report that pointed to a lot of other things, among which were discrepancies in some of the financial transactions made within the group companies. And Deloitte said we needed to look into these transactions. Adani denied, and hence the resignation. All in all, I think I'm in agreement, and I likely to agree with what Avijit said. It is the second biggest, I think, hit on Adani Group credibility up after Hindenburg.
Yeah, and the stocks this morning in a sea of red are reflecting the kind of hit. I mean, Suyash would remember, when the first Hindenburg report came, these are the kind of percentages in the red that we saw in Adani stocks the day the Hindenburg
on a day-on-day basis.
On day-on-day basis, 4% down, 5% down, 3% down, 3.5% down, and that's why it's a little scary right now, the way the charts are looking, from the it's reminding us of Jan, Feb of this year. It's like we've gone back in time by 6 months, taken a time machine. That's the kind of impact that piece of news has had. And Shweta, we've been also tracking the story of how SEBI and the Indian government are making sure auditors become responsible for any financial mishandling within any company. And the new rules say that even if you resign, so
you will still be held
you will still be held responsible. So Deloitte, to me, the way it looks right now, Suyash, correct me if I'm wrong, Deloitte is worried about all these new restrictions that the government and SEBI is planning to place on auditors, holding them accountable, holding them, saying that it's your job. Audit is a matter of looking into financial transactions in the books, and if something is wrong, how can the auditor not be responsible? How can the auditor turn around and say, we told them, the company didn't listen? So far, strangely, that's all that's happened with Deloitte. Deloitte has said that in May 2023, they raised these concerns within Adani Ports. We're not talking about all Adani stocks, all Adani companies. We're talking about Adani Ports and SEZ. That's the name of one company. So this particular news that came out on the 12th of August, Saturday, there was a 163-page BSE filing in which Deloitte made it very clear, we told Adani Ports' management that there are problems. There is not sufficient appropriate audit evidence. These words are very important. Sufficient appropriate audit evidence not available. Whereas, and that's the reason why they raised those concerns in May, and we are in August, and Deloitte has said, enough is enough. We've already resigned from other companies. This is the only one left. Now we're exiting this company. So what this essentially means is that Deloitte is not just exiting Adani Ports and SEZ, Deloitte is exiting the Adani Group per se. And for which Adani has responded back and said that, they resigned because we weren't going to give them the mandate to do the audit for other Adani Group companies. So it's a little tit-for-tat game that's going on between Deloitte and Adani right now.